Good morning and welcome to the Franchise Minute. I'm Anna Wiles, the franchise economist. I'm so glad to have you join us today. We have a very special guest, Dave Warren with Buzz Brands. Dave, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Anna, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of Buzz Brands, each and every one of them. Dave, today's topic is portfolio franchises. And of course, Buzz Brands is one of those. But before we get into that, share with the audience a little bit about you and how you came to work with Buzz Brands.
So, franchising kind of found me. I was in a spot where automotive, I never thought I'd leave, but the financial dominoes, the Big Short, a good friend of mine who's a franchise consultant now, convinced me you got to go talk to this guy. It was a senior care brand. I interviewed with him on a Monday, took the job on a Tuesday, and I am glad I did. I absolutely love franchise development. I've been fortunate to work with some great brands now with Buzz franchise brands, like you mentioned with the portfolio brands, with 4 brands under our umbrella.
Well, fantastic. And Dave, so share with the audience the 4 brands of Buzz.
So, and the portfolio, meaning we own the brands. We don't just develop for them. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not the way we've decided to scale. We
Mhm.
have British Swim School, which is our biggest one with over 170 plus franchisees. Pool
Wow.
Scout, we started in 2016. Home Clean Heroes 2018, and we're just getting ready to launch throughout the networks. Wonderly, which is a lighting concept. So 4 brands under our umbrella. Each one of the brands has their own support team. And then, of course, we have a shared service model.
Okay, well, we will talk about the shared service model in just a moment. I want to invite the audience to go ahead and drop any questions they have into your chat box or comments section because we've got a great franchise insider here with Dave Warren. Ask him any questions about, and all of these really are home service brands. And British Swim School isn't a home service, but young families who own homes are your target market. So there's certainly a opportunity to cross sell, I would think, if someone went with more than one of your brands. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. We have a franchisee in Detroit that owns 4 franchises. 3 of them are Buzz. She's built her own portfolio of brands. She actually even owns more businesses that aren't franchised. So she's taken that shared service platform and definitely amplified it. And just single territory. What she's decided to do is go deep with multiple verticals as opposed to wide with multiple territories. Kind of
Well,
interesting.
that is very interesting. Well, let's go ahead and talk about what are shared services and how do they benefit a franchisee?
Great question. So our shared service platform, every one of our brands has their own support team from operations, brand presidents, of course, marketing. Our shared service platform has over 15 full-time professionals. The bulk of them are in marketing. So Google
Mhm.
AdWords, pay-per-click, geo-targeted Facebook, search engine optimization. Part of shared services is also our finance and analytics. So, and we could look at every brand, every territory, and see how their marketing dollar is performing. So we could funnel advertisements where we're seeing the conversion. And then we've got a full training department as well. We did placed 100 franchisees last year, and
Wow.
to stay ahead of that, we added 25 full-time corporate professionals, and will continue to bring in top talent to stay ahead of our growth in 2024. So shared services is an extension of all the service verticals for Buzz.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and let the audience know that I myself use Home Clean Heroes here in my market. I've used them for over 3 years. They've done move outs, move ins for me. I've lived like 3 places in three 3 years, and they can continue to work for me doing weekly cleaning. And I just want to share a story with you, Dave, about what the franchisee here told me. She said, Anna, if I am too busy to um, get some resumes and, fill some positions. She said they, meaning Home Clean Heroes support team, they'll do that for me. She says if I'm too busy to rifle through 25 of them and get it down to maybe, 10 that I want to talk to, she said they'll do that for me. And she says if I'm too busy to interview them, she says, well, then they'll schedule appointments and they'll do that for me. So, I
Wow.
mean, it was just phenomenal. She said they will support you. I know that what audience said is an unpaid testimony, but she was very pleased with her experience. And it's not that y'all are going to do the work of the franchisee for them, but she's like, when I'm in a bind and I'm busy, they're there. They've got my back. So I thought you'd be pleased to hear that story.
That's good stuff. Support is definitely key. Without great support, you're not going to have much growth. So support's key.
And I will tell you, speaking of your marketing, I didn't even know Home Clean Heroes was in Augusta, but I saw a postcard and then I knew and I called it. And the rest is, here I am 3 years later still using them.
Off of a direct mail piece, where there's a lot of times people will say that's kind of a thing of the past. Well, mailboxes have less clutter in them, right? Everyone's going paperless. So
Right.
as long as it's great messaging, great content in front of a captive audience, we're gonna capture market share. And to see that you've been a customer for 3 years now, that's the reoccurring revenue model. Good stuff.
Well, actually, there's a slightly more interesting story. It wasn't direct mail to me. I bought a condo, and that postcard was there in the condo, and the former owner used them to do the move out, clean, and left the card there. And I said, well, I'm going to try them too because now I've got to move in.
And
So
still
I've used them repeatedly, and it's been a wonderful thing. Okay, so let's talk some more. You talked about verticals and shared services. So this is kind of like ordinary for us, but for the audience, let's bring it down to people who aren't very familiar with this, Dave, and give a little bit more detail about what all this means if you're considering being a franchisee.
Yeah, support's key. A good franchise model should be something that you could duplicate. It's almost like a paint by numbers approach. And within that business, there might be four different pictures: operations, marketing, back end analytics, and finance. Within each one of those, it's so important to once again follow process. But
Mhm.
support is definitely key, and it's we support our franchise owners on the four pillars of business ownership: operations, customer acquisition, HR. Which, as you
Mhm.
mentioned, that's not
Right.
simple. That's not
That is
simple
not
nowadays.
simple. Mm-mm.
And there's no traffic jam on the extra mile when it comes to support. So
Mhm.
having a team actually assist the franchise owner with that is definitely key. But that's been the buzzway, is support first, and we'll continue once again to bring in top top professionals to stay ahead of our growth.
So my understanding is shared services. So like the HR component for all your brands, for all your franchisees, that HR component is in place. They all
That's
share the resource, right?
Yeah,
And
that's going to be from the HR component is going to be from the brand support team itself.
oh,
The
okay,
shared service is really marketing, back end analytics, and training. Um,
okay,
it's the
all
shared
right.
service platform, but each brand is going to have, because it's going to be different nuances. Like when you're hiring for British Swim School instructors, that's going to be a different HR process than if it's pool scouts cleaning a backyard pool or home
Right.
clean hero. So little bit different nuances, but yes, we've got
Mhm.
great processes not only to hire, train, but also recommended pay plans to help retain key staff members. Because
Okay, well,
nowadays it's just so important to have an incentivized pay plan, because without that it becomes an HR nightmare. A lot of turnover.
right. Okay, so the shared services are training and support because all the brands need training and support. Is that right?
Mhm.
And
Correct.
then when you say back end analytics, you mean evaluating their operational and their marketing, like
Correct.
metrics, KPIs, that sort of thing? And then
Correct.
what was the third? There was a
It, it,
third thing.
it's going to be marketing. Marketing is going to shared
Okay.
service is going to have the digital search engine optimization. You're also going to have the direct mail. One of the pieces that you found
Right.
and
Right.
became a customer. So
Right.
yeah, marketing, finance and analytics, and then training and
Okay.
onboarding.
Very good. So
Mhm.
that's across all the brands. And then within each brand, there's an individual teams that support
Correct.
those franchisees. And so
Correct.
that's what people are paying for. You know, that franchise fee and that ongoing royalty, that's the value. And if they don't see value in it, I always tell a franchise candidate, well, then don't do it. But from what you've told me, um, that's a huge differentiator between, I mean, so many people when whenever I present like residential cleaning, they go, I can get a bucket and a mop and start my own. And they really have no idea the level of sophistication of the marketing and the operations support, the application of technology
Yeah.
in all of your businesses, the processes, the systems you've got in place, the tracking, I mean, the analytics, like you said, it's really quite sophisticated.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the benefit of joining a franchise. It should be a plug and play. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Um, hop in the car and roll. And now we don't want to stifle anybody's entrepreneur spirit because a lot of great ideas come from franchise owners, but processes are in place for a reason. And
I would love for you to share another story. So you're a portfolio franchise company, meaning you own multiple brands, and you started off by sharing the story of someone who built her own portfolio of businesses, some franchise, some three of your four brands were part of her business portfolio. Do you have other franchisees that have, I call it stacking, they stack another brand, buzz brand on top of an existing one in the same market? Do you have any stories like that?
yeah, 100%, especially with pool scouts in the seasonal markets where it kind of goes on pause. Although the benefit of pool scouts in the seasonality, we call it the bookends of business because you have to get your pool closed, you have to get it serviced before it
Right,
freezes or catastrophic damage, right? So we
right.
call it the bookends of business. But yes, we've got pool scouts owners that implement our Wonderly lighting concept, but it's not limited to that. Whether it be pest control, whether it be lawn care. Um, Wonderly has a lot. That's our lighting concept. I'd probably say 75% of the owners own other brands. So what they've done is they've kind of implemented a shared service model within their business,
Uh-huh.
and we definitely support that because we're all about shared service.
All right, very good. And you're also, we've talked about really the aim of any of your franchisees is long term wealth creation. And you feel that the shared services and the ability to stack and encourage people to expand their own business portfolio helps them create or achieve that very goal of long term wealth creation. You've seen it yourself, I'm sure, with all the years you've been in franchising.
Yeah, 100%. It's just like with yourself, your story, a reoccurring revenue, 3 years from a move
Mhm.
out to being a customer. And
Yeah.
yes, you are building your business. You are building equity one customer at a time. And where Buzz really thrives is we're going. I say this with confidence because I see it all the time. We're going to capture market share. We're going to have
Oh,
great content in front of a captive audience, and then once again, good analytics back in analytics where we could follow the math and put
mhm.
marketing dollars on what's converting.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, we're out of time. Thank you so much for being here. Before we sign off, if anyone wants to learn more about any of the Buzz brands, what do you recommend they do?
Yeah, looking at franchising, there's a long list of things you need to check. I would get with Anna. I would get with a professional where they're going to help assist you here. It's all about finding the right fit, and professionals like Anna's there to help you do that. So I would
Well,
say call Anna.
well, thank you, Dave. And if they are the right fit, I know to send them to you. Okay. Thank you so much. This is Dave Warren with Buzz Brands. Audience, thank you so much for being here, tuning in. Come back next week. We are going to have a very interesting topic: family services for everyone. We're all familiar with financial services, but there's something called family services that only the uber wealthy get access to. And so my next guest is going to talk to us about how us folk, us not uber rich people, can have the benefit of family services ourselves. So come back next week, next Wednesday at 11:30. I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist. See you next week.